Coffee. More coffee. Hot. Cold. I drink it for the effects, not the taste. Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome back to another GCrypto video. I'm your host Seth, and if you don't know already, obviously this is a new channel. We've started here as sort of part of the umbrella of Gminio, where we talk about NFT gaming specifically because it's kind of its own niche or subset of gaming as a whole right now. And so we wanted to kind of provide a home and a place for this style of content for people who are interested in that. So you can find any and all videos related to sort of NFT gaming and NFTs and crypto here on the GCrypto channel. So if you're not already, make sure to go down, make sure to subscribe, make sure to like this video if you enjoy it. And thank you. Thank you very much for doing that. In today's video, we're actually gonna be discussing NFT games, and more specifically, some of the upcoming NFT games that are RPGs. Now, I don't think it's a secret. I've talked a lot here on this channel about my love of RPGs, whether that's tabletop RPGs like Dungeons and Dragons, which I've gone on and on about, or whether that's video game RPGs that I've been able to play in the past, And I love that genre of game. It makes me happy. It's fun to lose myself in a world of somebody else's creation in a way. And with that being said, here on the channel, as we're covering more and more NFTs and the nature of NFT gaming, in my research, I've come across some really freaking exciting projects that I wanted to talk about with you guys today. So when I talk about upcoming NFT projects that I'm excited about, and specifically the ones in RPG, there's a few sort of criteria, I guess, that I want to see out of a game that kind of gets me excited, or rather a few criteria that I kind of grade them on, so to speak. The first being, is it pay to win? So I don't like pay to win games. I mean, I don't think anybody likes pay to win games, because all it really means is that the person who is willing to spend the most money on the game is going to be the one who wins. And there are a lot of games that are like that. Looking at you, Axie Infinity. But I like games where the primary factor in winning, whether that's PvP combat, PvE stuff, quests, what have you, where the primary factor to win or beat the game is skill, and not just the amount of money that you spend on shit to help you, or it feels almost like cheating. And that's kind of one of my big grading criteria for any upcoming project that I'm looking at when it comes to NFT gaming. The other one is, does it look cool? Are the graphics cool? Does it look like a fun game? Now, this is a sort of thing that I've been talking about a lot recently, and that there's gonna be a game, and it might be one on this list, and I kind of think it is, but there's going to be a game that comes out that we look back on and we say, that was it. That was the turning point. That was when a developer created a game first that people were going to enjoy, and that its primary draw was the gameplay and the way that the game operated, and then it was supplemented by NFTs. That's gonna be the big turning point. And so with that being said, I am looking at, does it look cool? Are the graphics good? Does it look fun to play? That is a big grading criteria for me. Kind of to go along with that, is there a good story? I'm attracted to a game based on the cool shit that it has and how things kind of work and maybe the crunch a little bit, but I stay for story. That's a good big consideration for me when looking at any of these games. And finally, the last one, which is far down the list for me, because again, I play games for fun mostly, but it is a consideration when it comes to NFTs, and that is there an opportunity to, earn a little bit of money, whether that's by recouping your initial investment once you sell your stuff off it because you don't want to play the game anymore, or whether that's through being able to grind and get tokens every day and what have you and convert them over. So that's a fourth and final consideration that is much further down the list than most of the other ones that I just mentioned. But now that we kind of know how I look at and grade, or rather think about what projects excite me, let's go ahead and dive into my little list here. First project that is coming up that I really am looking forward to is Guild of Guardians. Guild of Guardians is a mobile RPG that is going to be based on the Ethereum blockchain that is set to release in early 2022. Now, the primary thing of Guild of Guardians is dungeons. You have a team of heroes that you get that are each individual heroes that are NFTs. You have them in squads of 4, and you send them into dungeons to get loot and items and various resources and things that you can then use to craft other NFTs and sell them out on the marketplace to other stuff and players and guilds. Each hero that you have that is an NFT is unique and has unique abilities and synergies, and it's kind of like building your own little adventuring party. You got your tradition, your tank and your healer and your skill monkey and all these different things, and those heroes synergize and create, or rather give you the opportunity to beat these dungeons, which to me is really, really fun because I love that style of gameplay. Now, one of the primary draws of Guild of Guardians is kind of in the name, which is guilds. Guilds are a huge part of the ecosystem and the way that this game works, and being a part of a guild guild is kind of an essential, you really have to be in order to take full advantage of the game. But that kind of comes with, I don't know if I want to say drawbacks, but they're not really boons in my opinion of the game either. And that is that in order to craft and in order to like create new things with your loot that you got in the dungeon, you have to be part of a guild. And then the guild kind of jointly crafts the NFTs, and then you get a portion of the sale of that NFT based on your contribution. Now, you know, that's in a way that's kind of cool that it's built into the game that like your contribution determines how much you get back. So you don't have like someone who runs the guild or started the guild who's like pyramid scheming it and they just make all the money, you know? So it's based on contribution, and that's I think built into the sort of command prompts of the game and the way that it, you know, basically functions. But with that being said, like I would love to be able to be part of a guild, but at the same time craft on my own if I wanted to like, you know, have those profits go to me, because then I could go and do my own thing and kind of, you know, be solo. I love gaming with friends, and the founders of this game have said that that's the reason why, because gaming is better with friends. That's like one of their kind of taglines, and it's true. But, you know, sometimes I like to play by myself and go and do my own thing, you know? And so, like I said, not a big drawback, but not necessarily a plus for me either, just kind of a neutral point, I guess. But Guild of Guardians is set to release in early 2022 and is arguably the one that's going to be the soonest available to the general public. So super excited about that one. It's coming up, like I said, early 2022, and you can check out more information about it at the link in the description below. It looks fun. It looks very, very fun. The next one that we have coming up is Big Time. Now this one, from a story perspective, might be one of the best ones that I'm talking about today. So Big Time is a history-spanning, time-spanning action or multiplayer action RPG adventure that has you gallivanting across time to combat enemies, collect loot, and encounter some of history's most famous and infamous figures, which to me just sounds so rife with that story that I was talking about earlier. You can play as one of 4 different classes, which I'll get to in a minute, but the primary storyline is there is some threat that is tearing down the walls of time, and your job as this time-traveling adventurer hero is to uncover what that is and stop it from happening. Again, I'm a big sucker for story, so to me that story is a primary draw, or rather thing that this game is talking about, is a big deal for me. Also, you get your own fucking time machine. Like, how cool is that? And you can like kit it out and shit. Also, the head writer for Big Time, for the story itself, has worked in film and television as well as in the gaming industry, and his credits include television shows like 24 and Dexter, and he came to Big Time from a position at Blizzard where he was writing lore and additional sort of narrative content for games like Diablo and StarCraft, which is super fucking cool and indicative of somebody who has story and lore and sort of like narrative at the forefront of their mind. So that to me is very, very exciting. So I talked earlier about like the 4 classes, and those 4 classes are the Time Warrior, which is kind of, I think, like your traditional like DPS kind of fighter-ish type. The Chronomancer, which is like your mage. The Shadow Blade, which is, you know, your rogue guy who's like stabby stabby. And finally the Quantum Fixer, which is like your healer. Also fucking props for the cool names, right? But yeah, this game kind of hits all the buttons that I was talking about earlier. It's free to play and not that costly to enter in terms of, you know, the initial startup costs. I think it's gonna be somewhere in the realm of like $20 or something like that. It's got a great storyline from what I can tell so far, and it's got like a compelling, like I said, like narrative and reason for your buy-in into the game. So it kind of hits all the boxes for me. And according to Big Time's Discord, the game itself will be available for early access in 2022. The next game on my list is Ember Sword. Now, Ember Sword looks very cool. It's got an animation style that kind of reminds me a little bit of like Zelda Breath of the Wild in the Nintendo Switch. They released some gameplay footage and or rather some world footage, and it looked really cool. Also, the developers have a podcast, and they have 2 episodes in which they've already talked about Dungeons and Dragons, which is a huge W for me, and kind of goes back to a point that I made in this video, which is that most game developers most of the developers of the games that you are playing either play or have played D&D. That's enough of that. But Ember Sword is another upcoming MMORPG that is a massive sandbox for players. The game is set in the moon of Thanabis, which is split up into 4 different kingdoms. I'm partial to the nation of Duscaron myself, but each of the nations is unique. And in these nations, you can own land, gather resources, mine for resources, and craft and exchange the things that you make within the game. It has the opportunity for a lot of PvE combat and dungeons in various places around the world itself, as well as as a place called the Outlaw Lands, which is where you can go for PvP combat. So lots of different gameplay modes, lots of different ways to earn and engage with the game. Like I said, crafting, resource mining, PvE combat, PvP combat, dungeons, all kinds of different ways to engage with the game and play. So a lot of different, again, draws in terms of just fun, purely and simply. And also the website itself, there hasn't been a lot of information released about like the storyline of the game itself, but it says on the website, and I've listened to some of the podcasts that the developers have done, as well as some interviews that they've done, and they are a gameplay first sort of studio. They believe that gameplay is the primary draw and the reason why someone should come to a game. So they're putting gameplay first, and along with that comes story. They have plans for a very heavy, or rather a very involved narrative that's going to drive the story forward. And that to me is very exciting and shows a lot of promise in terms of, you know, drawing people to the game itself. It's also not pay to win and will have a lot of opportunities to earn. Like I said, resource mining, crafting, dungeon delving, PvP, PvE, all kinds of different ways that you can earn or that you can just enjoy and have fun and maybe make a little bit of money when you eventually get tired of it, if you do, and sell your stuff. As far as the release date goes, this one's a little more nebulous. It's kind of odd. They, on the company's website and in the company Discord, or rather the community Discord, it said that they are in pre-alpha now and they're going to be doing more alphas coming in 2022. I think opening up like one nation sort of at a time and rolling them out one at a time. So as I said, kind of hard to pin down, but it will be releasing through 2022 from what I can understand, and is available for alpha testing in early 2022. Next up on the list is one that you've probably heard of or probably seen before, especially if you're looking into NFT games with any regularity, and that is Illuvium. Illuvium is one of the most anticipated NFT games that is coming out in the near future. It's an action RPG that is based on the Ethereum blockchain and bears a striking resemblance to Pokemon. I've kind of talked about it before a little bit. There's a few games that are like that, you know, Ethermon, Illuvium, but Illuvium is the sort of most AAA like looking one. The graphics look incredible. The Illuvials, which are sort of, you know, your Pokemon or what have you, the monsters that you venture out into the world and capture, look really, really cool. The graphics are gorgeous for this game, and the gameplay itself looks really exciting. So this is a game for people who are fans of Pokemon, who are fans of teamfight tactics games, as well as games that sort of emphasize that sort of adventure and collector mentality like Pokemon. You know, you go out into the world and you adventure around and you look for rare Illuvials and you capture them, and then you build up your team and fight against other players. Well, one of the coolest things about this is, unlike Pokemon, you own your Illuvials. Like, because it's based on the blockchain, you get to retain the ownership over those. It's not that, you know, it's not like any other Pokemon game, at least not in the digital space. Another thing that I really love about this game is that they are not doing any pre-sales. So some of the other games on this list, you know, I talked about pay to win, and while I don't like that, I don't know that this is necessarily a problem, but some of them have sort of, you know, pre-sales of certain assets or things like that as a way of sort of building buzz and anticipation for the games. But Illuvium is not doing any pre-sales, so no one can get access to any Illuvials or land or any other in-game assets ahead of time or early. Everybody starts from square one on launch day, which again, to me is really cool. And I think, you know, satisfies that requirement of like no pay to win at all. And speaking of launch day, the beta for this, the open beta, is going to be released. They don't have a precise release date, but we know it's going to be happening in Q1 of 2022. And finally, you guys, we come to the last game on my list today, the one that I am most excited about, and that is Star Atlas. The reason that I'm most excited about this one is because first and foremost, it just looks like a good game. Star Atlas is an intergalactic RPG set in the year 2620, which has sort of three different factions, like these sentient androids, aliens, and then humans, all sort of locked in this cosmic struggle for control of resources and political power. The game itself is built in Unreal Engine, so it's freaking gorgeous, and is also built on the Solana blockchain. I have a whole video that I'm gonna do on Solana just by itself because it's fucking awesome, but it's built on the Solana blockchain, not like a lot of these other, I don't think any of the other games are built on the Solana blockchain actually, and for that reason, it's very unique, and I'll get more into that in a later video. But in terms of just the scope of this game, none of the games that I've talked about today come close. The developers are promising a beautiful, massive world that is going to be just rife with opportunities for exploration and, you know, putting your stake out into the universe. it has me very, very excited. Also, their website's awesome. But the way that this game works is effectively you join one of those 3 factions that I mentioned earlier, and then you become the captain of your own ship, and you can go out into the universe or stay on planet, I guess, and like mine for resources and trade and buy and sell. You can battle with other ships and across the universe. There's lots of different ways that you can sort of explore and interact with this world. But like I said earlier, like the scope of this one to me is the most ambitious. And also I've read some very interesting things about the developers and how effectively one of the things that they're going to do is that they're basically going to relinquish control of the game itself over time to the community. It's kind of complex, but effectively the people who control, you know, who are stakeholders in the game eventually are going to be able to make decisions about how the game operates that the developers may not even like or want, but nevertheless, they're putting it in the hands of the players and the users, which is, I think, a first in terms of the way the games develop. So it's very, very interesting. It's going to be probably the most complete metaverse that we will see in the near future. And I don't know. You know, I talked earlier about the game, right? The one that we're gonna look back on, and we're gonna say that was it. That was the turning point. That was when NFT gaming and like the metaverse and this idea of a digital world and a digital economy that had real world applications and consequence. That this is the one. Like we might. And that is what has me so freaking excited about it. Not to mention, like I said, the way that it's built is really cool, and I'll get more into that on a later video, but I think this might be the one. And like I said, very excited to see what happens. As far as the release date for this game goes, it's like now, kinda. So they're like basically opening up sections of the universe a little bit at a time. I mean, right now they're doing some pre-sale stuff of like ships, which I'm not in love with. I wish that wasn't the case, but they're, you know, you can buy ships right now and a few other things. They intend to release like a mini game, which is kind of like a Star Atlas Lite that's going to be coming out, I think, this year, end of 2021, beginning of 2022. And then sort of slowly rolling out things through 2022. So it's kind of available now in terms of like getting yourself set up, but won't be available to play or to really engage with until later this year or early 2022. But you know, in addition to everything I said, the reason that I'm most excited about this game is because it looks, like I said, just fun to play, which kind of brings me to the conclusion, I guess, of like my whole video, which is that the reason I wanted to do this thing on RPGs specifically is because to me, they're the most fun to engage with and the most fun to play as games first. And I think that Star Atlas and some of the other games mentioned here too are the first generation of NFT games that are going to be those ones that we look back on and say this was the turning point because they appeal to us as games first. Because I think when developers can really nail that and can kind of capture the spirit of gaming in an NFT game and then supplement it with this ability to, again, like build something real and tangible in that digital space, I think that is gonna be that moment, that tipping point in terms of the broader changes that are gonna happen within gaming and maybe, you know, past gaming and beyond gaming itself. I mean, the intersection of society and economy and this, what we're looking at right now, I just feel like we're at a very crucial point and it's really exciting to be here and to be talking to people about it. I don't know, let me know what you guys think. I mean, do you agree with me? Do you disagree? There's a lot of controversy, surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly. There's a lot of different opinions on NFTs, NFT gaming, on the way that this stuff all works. So I'd be curious to hear what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments below what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I hope you're enjoying this NFT content here on the new channel. If you are, make sure to like the video, please. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and we will catch you in the next one. Thank you guys so much, and don't forget, game it till you make it. Bye, guys.